Tonight I'm honored to receive the nomination and to be the Republican candidate for the New York 22nd District, as well as the Conservative Party candidate for New York's 22nd District. And I'd like to start by thanking Stephanie, my wife of 30 years. 30 years of adventure, including 6 submarine patrols, 500 days at sea, raising 2 fantastic kids. We've dreamed together over these 30 years, and more importantly, for someone who loves our country every bit as much as I do. Thank you. And I'd like to thank each and every one of you for the incredible effort of getting us to this place. This campaign honestly has never been about me. We are crying out and shouting out and matching it with our steps and our feet and our effort to take back our country.
That's right.
I think of the thousands of doors that you guys have knocked on. I think of the tens of thousands of phone calls that we have made. We have hundreds of volunteers, and that is really what this campaign is all about. As Mike told you, we've been outspent by the DC lobbyists, the DC insiders, who put $1.2 million into this race in the last 3 weeks trying to rescue my opponent, and as well as a considerable fortune of their own. And as I said at our rally last night, when you add all that up, that makes pretty much each one of you worth about $100,000. And that is really a remarkable accomplishment. So thank you that you love our country so much that you're willing to stand up and make a difference. And a difference you have certainly made. And finally, I'd like to thank the voters of Central New York. You know, I'm extremely humbled and grateful to have your faith. I have shaken hundreds, maybe thousands of hands. I have looked into the eyes of voters, and I have seen the concern, the frustration, but also the desperate love of Central New York and love for our country. And that's what really resonates across the this 6-month stretch, 7-month stretch of this campaign. Rest assured that today, your vote marks only the beginning of the change that is coming to America. We're going to get this ship pointed in the right direction. You know, right now, more than ever, is the time to start taking back our country. Our nation is under attack every day by the radical leaders in the progressive left. And their agenda deteriorates the foundations of our country and what has made our country great. We can't afford the inept leaders, the pay-to-play politicians, the political insiders that honestly have sought their own interests and betrayed the middle class and workers. And so when you see the inflation that is ravaging the middle class and the elderly, people on fixed income, what you're really seeing is career politicians that have served their own interest and left everyone else to fend for themselves. And that is not right. And Americans all over the country are standing up to push back against that. So it's time that we get, I think, competent leadership in Congress. For the first time since the 1970s, there are now more veterans running for Congress to provide that leadership. And so you are going to see some changes. And it's not just here, but it's around the country. If elected to Congress, I will actually be the first nuclear submarine veteran ever to serve in Congress. And,
100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 1
as your congressman, I will fight. I will bring the fight to Washington. I'm sorry, I'm stumbling over. It has really been a very, very long 7 months. But for the same reason that we stood up to run this race is the same reason and the same spirit I will take to fight in Congress to push back against the progressive left and the Biden agenda that is hurting us, and just begin the restoration of America. I always think of Ronald Reagan and the conservative principles that were elected in 1980. You remember that Ronald Reagan didn't just win an election, he won a generation of conservatism. He began a movement, the modern movement of conservatism. He won a generation of prosperity. And we need to look at those, at the conservative agenda and conservative principles to help start restoring America. These are common sense policies of energy independence, of securing our border, of rational spending instead of out of control spending, an energy policy that is based on science and engineering. Fortunately, I'm a nuclear engineer, and we need people in Congress to help drive those changes. I just want to conclude by reflecting again on the words of Ronald Reagan, that freedom is never more than one generation away. And it absolutely takes patriots to stand up and to fight against the system, to fight against the career politicians, to fight against the lobbyists and the money that has taken over our politics. And that's what all of you represent, and that's what I will represent in Congress on your behalf. I can't thank you enough for the sacrifice that you've made to get us to this point. And I'm always reminded that we're only halfway there. We have started an incredible and impressive win tonight. No one expected this, except for the people in this room. We were hearing stories. I just have to recount these stories. One of you came the other day and said, you know, Brandon, my wife and I have knocked on 492 doors on your behalf, and I just want you to know twice we've come across people that are voting for your opponent. And so actually for the last 10 days or 2 weeks, I knew that this was where we were going. And you never, you know, you don't want to boast. You certainly don't ever want to lay off or stop. We were out campaigning even today. But I knew that that's what you had accomplished. And the phone calls that you made and the people. Another one of my favorite stories is, I think Ari said, Brandon, I met your favorites or your best supporter. I said, you know, who is that? I knocked on this door. This woman knew everything about you, had watched all your things, and she said, and my husband is Cuban, and we've gone and registered 15 of our family members. 15 of our family members as Republicans, and we're all going out just to vote for you. That's why we've done this. And that is the spirit that we have tapped into in Central New York. That is the spirit that we are testifying to, that's happening all around this country. And we're going to make a difference, and we're going to go to Congress, all of us.
That's right.
Well, I've only been drinking water all night, so I'm ready to go have a beer. And just, again, look what we have done. This is what you have done. Thank you so much. Thank you very much.